so today we are going to discuss about the food and feeding habit of fin fishes. Okay, so this is going to be the introductory class where we will see uh, what are the different type of food fishes used to have and what are the different feeding habits in the fishes. Okay, so today we will discuss all these things one by one. So the very first is first, the category of the fishes based on the type of food items they consume. Means how many different type of food items they consume. On the basis of that, fishes are basically divided into two broad groups. Okay, actually fishes feed on wide range of food materials. Okay, and why they require to be feed on the wide range of food material? Because they have to obtain the nourishment. Okay, the different nutrient and different essential nutrients, whether they are the vitamins, minerals, protein, fats, carbohydrates, they all came from the different sources. Okay, that's why like other animals, fishes also feed on the wide range of food materials. Okay, and the different type of food materials they consume as a food, they are divided into two broad groups. The number one is the stenophasic and other one is the euryphasic. Steno means narrow. Okay, so means the fishes which feeds on very few type of food. Okay, they are known as stenophasic fishes. uh, and another group where the fishes feed on variety of food items, okay, different food items, then they are known as a euryphasic fishes. Okay, so this is the category of the fishes divided into the different type of items, food items they consume as a food. Okay, now what are the different materials which constitute the fish food? Okay, so these are some of the list of the food items that fishes used to have or used to consume. Okay, the number one are some of the microorganisms which are categorized into the zooplanktons and phytoplanktons. If we talk about the zooplanktons, they are basically the protozoans, rotifers, cladoceras, and some of the crustacean larvae. And if you talk about phytoplanktons, then they are unicellular algae, some of the filamentous algae, and diatoms. Then the small size annelid worms also constitute as a food material for the fishes. Then snails, mussels, some of the insects, and the big carnivorous fishes, they feed on the smaller fishes, tadpoles, and frog. And some of the herbivorous fishes, they used to eat or consume aquatic plant as a food. So these are some of the major type of food items which are available in the aquatic water body for the fishes as a food, which actually gives the different required nutrient for the growth and reproduction of the fishes. Now, the variety on which the if we the food which is eaten by the different types of fishes, they are also divided into four categories. If you talk about the food, as I have told in the previous slide, there are several items that can constitute as a food for the fishes. So, which are the food which are eaten by the fishes? On the basis of that, there is a four category of the food. Okay, the four category of the food which is taken by the fishes. So they are basically the basic food, and the number one is the basic food or the main food. The basic food or the main food is actually the food which is preferred by the fish in their natural habitat. Okay, means when the favorite is a condition in the water body if the condition in the natural water body is favorable, okay, and the food is available in appropriate amount, And the food which is preferred by the fish in the natural habitat under the favorable condition is known as a basic food or the main food of the fish. Now, second one is the secondary food. Suppose this food is consumed. Fish prefer to have a main food or the basic food which is belongs to its feeding habit. Okay, but if any other type of food which is available in plenty, okay, in the vicinity or in the natural habitat, what will happen? They also consume the food which is available in plenty. So that food is known as a secondary food. Now the third one is the incidental food. As the name suggests, incidental food, this is the food item which enters the gut by the chance. Suppose a fish have the preferred habit of aquatic weeds. Okay, so when the fish is feeding on the aquatic weeds, some of the insect larvae or something has entered in the gut. So that food is known as a incidental food. Then the emergency or the obligatory food. Okay, so this is the food which is taken by the fish under the unfavorable condition, means when there is a no basic or secondary food is available, then fish have, for the survival, fish have to eat whatever available in the water body. So in the unfavorable condition, when basic food is not available, secondary food is not available, and for survival of the fish has to take the whatever the food available in the surrounding. So that food is known as the emergency or the obligatory food. So basically food are of four types: the main food or the basic food, then the secondary food, incidental food, and the emergency or obligatory food. Now, the major feeding types in the fishes. Okay, this we have also discussed in the very introductory class. So now we will again see what are the major feeding types. So there is basically 5 types of feeding habits in the fishes, then or the feeding types which are present in the fishes. The number one is the predator, followed by grazers, then strainers, suckers, and parasite feeding behavior. Okay, so we will see some of the representative or the examples of the fishes which belongs to these different major feeding categories. So we will start first with the predators. Okay, so predators are basically the fishes which eats or which feed on the macroscopic animals. Okay, like the big fishes which feed on the small fishes or the mollusks or crustaceans. So they are basically the feeding habit of the big size carnivorous fishes. So they usually, for their, for this kind of feeding behavior, they usually have a well-developed grasping and holding teeth. So the great white shark and the barracudas are the example of the predators. Now these are the esox and the guards. They are also the predators. Okay, which feed on the macroscopic animals. Now, the second category is the grazer. As the name suggests, they graze on the bottom. Okay, so they graze on, they continuously graze in the water body. Okay, so they basically feed on the planktons or on the bottom of organism. So their feeding zone is basically the bottom or the column. Okay, so these are some of the examples of the grazers like the parrotfish, the bluegills, butterfly fish, and some of the freshwater fishes like Strenus regular, Cyprimus carpio, and Labio ruvita. They are some of the examples of the grazers which actually take the foods by bite or the continual browsing or grazing. Okay. Now the third category is the strainers or filter feeder. Means here the fishes basically feeds on the plankton, maybe on zooplankton or phytoplankton or both, the zooplankton as well as phytoplankton. So in this type of feeding habit, basically the food selection is not based on the type. The food selection is based on the size of the food. If the food size is of planktonic size, then they are taken by the fishes. Okay, so having this filter feeding habit or the strainer habit, they have some adaptation. Okay, in their um, gill racker. Okay, so the fishes which are filter feeder, their gill rackers are long, uh, very numerous, means more in number, closely arranged, elongated, okay, which serve as a sieve. Okay, so when the water filters through that gill racket, what happened? Because that gill rackets form the structure of the sieve, so the planktons get stuck on the seas and taken by the food in the fishes. So, like Katla, Gadusia, then Hypophthalmicus, Molotrex, Ilsa, and SARS, they all have the filter feeding habits. Now the suckers, okay, these are this type of feeding habit is very common in the loaches and some of the sturgeons and suckers, where they actually take the food by the bottom feeding. They basically scrap the bottom, okay, to have the food. Now, the very unusual but a highly evolved feeding habit is the parasitic feeding habit. So, some of the primitive fishes like lampreys, okay, then sea lampreys, Pacific lampreys, they all are parasitic. Okay, they get their mouth have some tentacle like structure which basically get and they simply get attached to the body of the host and they suck the body fluid, okay, directly from the host. So these are the five major feeding type: the predator, the grazers, the strainers, suckers, and the parasitic feeding behavior. Now, on the basis of the gut content and the preference of certain food, okay, in the national habitat, fishes are divided into three groups: the herbivores, the omnivores, and the carnivores. Uh, you all must be aware of this term. The herbivorous means the fishes which basically feed on or which have the preferred food item as a plant source, they are the aquatic weeds or the phytoplanktons. And then the omnivorous fishes, they are the group of fishes that used to feed on both the sources, the animal source as well as the plant source. And the third category is the carnivores. Carnivores are the fishes which actually feeds on a smaller size of animals, insects, crustaceans, some of the mussels, mollusks, smaller size fishes. So this is the these are three different feeding habits based on the preferred food item or the gut content. Now, some specialized food habit. Okay, so there are some fishes which are stenophasic and they used to feed only on one type of food. Okay, so there are some of the specialized food habit categories like insectivorous. Insectivorous fishes are the fishes which only feeds on the insects. Then another one are the larvivorous fishes. They are the fishes which feeds only on the larvae. Then the mollusk feeder are the fishes which feeds on the mollusks like snails and mussels. And the crustacean feeder which exclusively feeds on crustacea. Okay, and the last one is the piscivorous fishes. The piscivorous fishes are the fishes which feeds on the smaller size of the other fishes. Okay. Now there is also the freshwater fishes are divided into three groups on the basis of the ecological zone in the water body they occupy for feeding. Okay. So if we talk about the pond or the water bodies, there are basically three layers. Okay, or three ecological zone or niches, and in these three fishes there are a different type of fishes, and these distribution is basically based on their feeding habit. Okay, so there are basically three ecological zone in the water body. If we talk about the surface, the column, and the bottom. The uppermost surface is uppermost layer is known as a surface. The middle one is known as a column, and the bottom one is known as the bottom surface. So the fishes which feed on the surface are known as surface feeder. The fishes which feed in this middle zone are known as column feeder, and the fishes which feeds on the bottom, okay, they are known as the bottom feeder. Now some of the specialized feeding behavior. As I have told, the strainers of the plankton feeders, they actually a group of fishes which only feeds on the planktons. They are herbivorous when they only feed on the phytoplanktons. They are omnivore. They are known as omnivorous plankton feeders when they feed on both the phyto as well as zooplanktons. And if the fishes feed only on the zooplanktons, they are known as the carnivorous fishes. So like Katla, Hilsa, Gadusia, Silvercup, they all are some of the example of plankton feeders. Okay. Now, this is a list of some of the economically important fishes which comes under the herbivorous category. Okay, like Labio rohita, Labio fimbriatus, Labio calbasu, Labio bata, Labio bonius. These are the fishes which have the herbivorous feeding. Okay. Now this Shrinus regula, Shrinus reba, Tinopharyngodon, Idella, Lisa date, and Virgilcephalus, they all are the examples of herbivorous fishes. Now these are the examples of some of the omnivorous fishes like Katla katla, Puntius serrana, Puntius sophore, Puntius javanicus, Cyprinus carpio, Colisa fasciata, Hypophthalmitis mollitrix, then Neolisocylus, Hexagonolipis, Tor pitutora, Tor kudri, Tor mosul, Tor, Osteobrama cupria, Hilsa, Hilsa. These are some of the, or Temusia elsa, these are some of the example of the omnivorous fishes. Why I have listed the name of these fishes? Because these are the name of the species which are of commercial importance. Okay. So in further classes, we will take in detail the feeding habits and the preferred food of some of the important, economically important or commercial fin fishes. Now the carnivorous fishes, these are some of the example of the fishes. We basically feed on these animals like Chitla chitla or Notopterus chitla, then Mr. Singula, Mr. Vitatus, Vulagoid 2, Rita rita, Pangasius, Claris batricus, Hatropinistus fossilis, Channa marulius, Channa stratus, Anabas castudinis, and late Scalcarifer. Okay, these are some of the examples of the carnivorous fishes, and these the species which are listed here are of economical importance. So now this was about what are the different category based on the type of foods they eat. Okay, the based on the ecological niche they occupy in the water body, the based on the their feeding time. We have seen all these different types. Now we will see how the fish detect the food. Okay. So here we'll see there are actually four organs in the fishes which are involved in the detection of the food. Okay. So there are basically four group of organs. The number one is the photosensory organ, followed by the gustatory organ, then mechanosensory organ, and electroreceptor organs. So first we will see the photosensory organ. The photosensory organ means the organ which actually sends the light. Okay. So in the case of fishes, eye is the photosensory organ. So the eye in the fishes, it is used for visual clue for the locating and capturing the food. So the number one organ which is involved in the detection of the food is the eye, because with the help of eye they used to visualize and locate the food. The number one is the gustatory organ. Gustatory organ is the organ which is associated with the taste bud. Okay. So this is the organ which is used for the searching of the food. Then the mechanosensory organ, basically the lateral line system, it also helps in the detection of the prey. Okay, and then in some of the fishes, like moray eels, the electroreceptor organ also help in the detection of the prey. Okay, so we will see all this one by one. So the very first one we'll talk about the gustatory organ or the taste bud. Okay. So in the human, what generally happen? We used to have the taste buds on our tongue. Okay. So the taste buds for salty food, taste bud for sweet foods, taste bud for sour foods. They have different localization on our tongue. Okay. But in case of fishes, the localization of taste bud is not only on the tongue. Okay, it actually have the wide range. Okay, it is situated on the lips, it is situated on the barbels, on the pharynx, on the gill earth. Okay, and sometimes it covers the entire oral cavity. Okay, so with the help of these taste bud, fish actually select the suitable food or the preferred food. Okay, because in the water body all type of food is available. Na? Suppose the fish is herbivorous, so it doesn't mean that they are used to in the water body which have only herbs or the aquatic plants only. It have all sources. Na? They have zooplanktons, they have phytoplanktons, mollusks, insects, some crustacea, their larvae, okay, some aquatic weeds, some algae. But they have some preferred food. Okay, so these gustatory organ or taste buds, which is located on the oral region, it helps in selecting the suitable or the preferred food of the fish. Okay, and this gustatory sense of fishes means this taste bud, they are actually associated with three distinct cranial nerves. Okay, cranial nerves are basically the nerve which connected to the brain. Okay, so the cranial nerve 7, cranial nerve 9, and the cranial nerve 10. Okay, these are three different cranial nerves, okay, which actually connected to the brain, and it transfer the gustatory sense of fish to the brain. Okay, so if we talk about the cranial nerve 7, this is the nerve which is important for the appetitive feeding activity. Means the cranial nerve 7 or the taste bud which synapse or which joins with the cranial nerve 7 have function in the feeding activity or in the food search. Now the cranial nerve 9 and 10, okay, the cranial nerve 9 and 10, they are important for the consummatory feeding behavior. Consummatory feeding behavior means the feeding behavior which is associated with the ingestive and the swallowing behavior. Okay, so the cranial nerve 9 and 10, it is synapse with the brain which have the importance in the consummatory feeding habit, and cranial nerve 7, it has the importance in the appetitive feeding activity. Now, how the fishes sense the taste, how the taste transduct from the taste bud. What happens? This is actually the structure of the taste bud. Okay, here you can see that this is the taste pore. Okay, and this taste bud have some sensory receptor cells. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here you can see these are the sensory receptor cells. These are the nucleus, and at the end they have some sensory neurons. Okay, and these neurons actually sends the signal to the brain. So what happens when any food particle or food molecule, okay, when it comes in the contact of or when it comes near to the taste pore, what happens? When they comes near to the taste pore, there are some of the receptor on the membrane of the taste bud. So what happened? These receptor, when these different type of receptors are there for different type of foods. Means for carbohydrates there is a different type of receptor. For amino acid there is a different type of receptor. For salty food there is a different type of receptor. For sour food there is a different type of receptor. Okay, so what happened if suppose it have a different receptor for different food. Suppose a carbohydrate food comes in the contact with the taste pore, what happened? It binds to the receptor which is specific to the carbohydrate. Then what happened when this food particle binds to the carbohydrate receptor? Now this carbohydrate receptor binding with this carbohydrate receptor actually triggers some of the changes inside the sensory receptor cell. So what happened? Those changes is sensed by the sensory neuron, and then the signal sent to the brain. So this is how the taste transduction occur in the gustatory organ of the fishes. Okay. So now second one is the mechanosensory organ. As I have told, the lateral line system and the auditory organs like internal ear, which is also known as a membranous labyrinth in the fishes, it also help in detection of the prey. What happens, suppose if fish used to feed on some of the smaller animal or the prey, so when it moves inside the water, what happened, because of when the prey will move, it will cause the displacement of the water as well as the distortion of the water current. So the distortion of the water current or the displacement of the water is sensed by the neurosensory cells which are present on the lateral line of the fishes. Okay, so this mechanical change in the surrounding environment is get detected by the lateral line system, which helps in detection or the capturing of the prey. Then and because of this lateral line system, when fish is also able to capture the prey in the night or in a very dark or muddy water, okay, where the visibility, the visualizing the prey with the eye is not possible, in that condition, the lateral line sense organ actually help in the capturing the prey. Then there is some of the fishes which belongs to the Mormyridae, then Zimnerchidae, and some other electrophoridae and some other electrophoridae fishes. Okay, in these fishes, this electroreceptor organ helps in the localization, size, and shape of the prey which is present in the vicinity of the fish. Okay, so these are some of the organs which helps in the detection of the food in the fishes. Okay, so this is about today's class.